Good morning, awesome readers. Mrs. Washburn here. We're here today to read chapter 3 and 4 of Mercy Watson to the Rescue so that we can discuss it in our reading group on Tuesday. So before we get started reading, I want you guys to think about a couple of things. So before we went on our distance learning journey, we were talking about the difference between a fact and an opinion. So if you remember, a fact is something that is true, that you cannot say is not true. So if I said, you have 2 eyes, is that a fact or an opinion? It's a fact. You have 2 eyes. We can count them. 1, 2. We can't tell you that you don't have 2 eyes. We can see them and we can count them. So it's a fact that you have 2 eyes. If I said, the best dessert in the whole world is ice cream, is that a fact or an opinion? It's an opinion. It's how I feel. Maybe I think the best dessert is ice cream, but maybe you think the best dessert is something else. So we're going to talk about on our reading group day the difference between facts and opinions, and I'm going to use some fun things from our story. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of information that you can think about before we meet at our meeting. So let's jump right in and read chapter 3 and 4 of Mercy Watson to the Rescue. All right. So I'm going to flip the camera around and try it again to hold it so that you can read along with me and see the pictures. All right, friends. So let's do this. All right. So here we are in chapter 3. Boom! A hole opened under the Watsons' bed. Crack! The Watsons' bed fell into the hole. Mr. Watson woke up. Mrs. Watson woke up. Mercy woke up too. What the? Said Mr. Watson. Oink, said Mercy. It's an earthquake, shouted Mrs. Watson. It's the end of the world. Nonsense, said Mr. Watson. But he did not sound very sure. He sounded frightened. Mercy, however, was not frightened. Mercy was hungry. Oink, said Mercy again. She moved to the end of the bed. Boom! Crack! The bed fell a little farther into the hole in the floor. Don't move, shouted Mr. Watson. Whatever you do, don't move. Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson and Mercy held very still. Mrs. Watson started to cry. I know exactly what we must do, said Mr. Watson. We must call the fire department. They will rescue us. But you said we should not move, said Mrs. Watson. How can we call the fire department if we cannot move? Mercy recalled her lovely toast-filled dream. She wondered if there was any toast in the kitchen. While Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson were arguing, Mercy hopped off the bed. Boom! Crack! There she goes. Look, said Mrs. Watson, Mercy has escaped. She's going to find help, said Mr. Watson. She's going to alert the fire department. Mercy left the bedroom at a gallop. She was in a hurry. She was on her way to the kitchen. She was looking for some toast. Okay, chapter 4. In the kitchen, Mercy sniffed the table. She sniffed the kitchen counters. She sniffed the floor. But there was no toast. There was not even a crumb of toast. Mercy's stomach growled in disappointment. Boom! Crack! Help us! Mrs. Watson called. Mercy thought hard. Where could she get a snack? And then the answer came to her. Baby Lincoln always had sugar cookies. Baby Lincoln lived next door, and Baby Lincoln liked to share. Mercy took the kitchen doorknob in her mouth. She turned it. Help! Mrs. Watson called again. Sugar cookies, thought Mercy. She stepped outside. There she goes. And here we are to chapter 5. Okay, so sorry. So we read chapter 3 and chapter 4, and we're going to discuss the difference between fact and opinion in our reading group. But I also want you to think about, what do you think is going to happen? So Mercy Watson got off the bed and she was so hungry, so she went to go look for food, and the Mr. and Mrs. Watson think that she's going for help. So do you think that she's going to end up getting help to come back, or do you think that she's just going to go out and get a treat? My goodness, what a silly little pig, huh? All right, friends, so I will see you on Tuesday, and I miss you. Goodbye.